If you enjoy this content, please remember to subscribe, like, comment, and share with someone else who might enjoy it too. Don't forget to hit the bell for notification of future uploads. Ghostly. Afghanistan, Spring, 2018. German, it was a nickname that stuck because it made more sense than his given name, stepped out into the early spring darkness. The world around him was the purest form of dark. The heaven above burned too bright with trillions upon trillions of stars that he instinctively squinted. He gave his brand new pack of Marlboro Reds a few gentle tamps before retrieving one and placing it between his lips. He brought the lighter to it and inhaled deeply. Afghanistan was his second combat tour. He'd previously been to Ramadi, Iraq, which he'd successfully packed it away into a dark corner of his mind. German had always been one to live in the moment. He seldom thought of the past or future. In that moment he simply focused on smoking and taking in the cool night around him. As he finished his first cigarette and lit up another, a faint smell of something distinctly feminine drifted on the air and found its way into his nostrils. It was the scent of flowers, but not the usual heady notes of, say, roses or hydrangea. It was a woody herbaceous scent. It was the scent of early summer in the countryside. It was the smell of a woman who spent her days outside. German hesitated before lighting his second cigarette. He raised his nose hoping to find the source. As quickly as it appeared, the scent dissipated on the light breeze. As an infantryman, serving alongside women was not a privilege he experienced, so he shook the hope of seeing a woman away. It was a ghostly scent, a scent perhaps from his past. German lit his second cigarette, smoked in silence as the chill brought on by the thought of ghosts urged him to take quicker drags. He finished his cigarette and ducked back inside the brick-and-mortar longhouse he shared with his platoon mates. Afghanistan, Summer, 2018. As soon as the weather warmed up and the rain stopped hammering the arid dust plains of southeast Afghanistan, the fighting season began. The fear that enabled any sense of self-preservation had long left German and his fellow platoon members, who had more than one combat tour under their belts. German didn't mind the high-octane moments where he knew he was gambling with God and the devil. It was the moments of deafening silence before and after that he didn't quite enjoy. He hated nights where he struggled to drift off to sleep. It was on one of those sleepless nights that German found himself sitting atop a watchtower on cliffside on some undermanned combat outpost, looking down on the Khyber Pass, that he felt something. Looking through his night vision device, his eye registered a faint heat signal bobbing up and down. It was shaped like a person, though it was several degrees cooler than expected. He watched as the figure wove its way rather quickly from Pakistan into Afghanistan, eliciting a confused furrowing of his brows. "Are you seeing this?" German whispered to the young man beside him in the watchtower. "Seeing what, Sergeant?" the young man asked. German directed the young man. Still, he couldn't see what German saw. The figure split into 3 faint heat signatures, 2 crouched and began walking on all fours. German flipped his night vision device away from his left eye and squeezed his eyes shut to re-moisten them. He assured himself he had just experienced a visual hallucination due to a lack of sleep. Georgia, USA, late summer, 2019. German had an inkling he was perhaps the luckiest man alive, as his comrades young and old in the infantry was perhaps reaching a man's 30s, were taken one by one. Unknown to him, while he was trudging up the mountainsides and scaling the cliffs outside of Camp Merrill, Georgia, he had lost yet another friend. During one of many long grueling sleep-deprived nights during mountain phase of ranger school, German saw a small hazy figure walking toward him. The ridges and valleys around Camp Merrill were already headed into their dormant state for winter, and yet, there it was, the scent of something herbaceous. The darkness softened and fields of gold sprung up around him. "When are you coming home, Clive?" a soft female voice whispered from somewhere behind him. German nearly forgot his given name, Clive Steiner, that he barely bothered to look around for the source calling to him. A lazy glance over his shoulder revealed a hazy figure in white standing in a field of gold reaching out to his back. "German," someone hissed, yanking him back to a state of wake. Once more, the world around him was cold and dark, his feet balanced precariously at the edge of a cliff, the drop easily 100 feet or more. "You're droning," that someone muttered, dragging German back to the damp cold ground.
North Carolina, spring, 2025. German surveyed his front yard. It wasn't so much a front yard as a young orchard. The apple, peach, and pear trees had all survived their juvenile phase and were ready to produce their first crop. The pink and white petals blanketed the ground where his wife, Maya, stood surrounded by a flock of hens, her affectionate tom turkey, her oversized old white and liver-spotted cat, and her 2 large dogs. She was dispensing scratch feed to her farmyard animals while the 2 dogs and cat waited for their turn to be fed. Maya shook out what remained in her feed scoop, then turned to face him. She smiled, picked up her cat draping his long muscular slender body over her left shoulder. She wore only a tattered white nightgown and rubber boots, but the spring breeze stirring her wild dark hair around her made her the most beautiful vision he'd ever seen, or had he seen that exact vision before? As she neared and a cool cross breeze deflected off the large pond just beyond the orchard, caught her, the scent of her shampoo, lavender and tea tree engulfed him, sending German back the ghostly visions of Afghanistan and outside Camp Merrill, Georgia. "I've dreamt of you my entire life, Maya," German confessed. Maya gave him a playful dismissive eye roll before letting out a tinkling laugh. "Whatever, Casanova," Maya laughed. "It's true," German insisted, throwing an arm around his wife, before breaking into his tale of ghostly visions.